Hi, I'm Cunning Monkey, and today we're going to talk about the most underrated Assassin's Creed ever, Assassin's Creed Unity. Now, if you enjoy gaming content, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It really means a lot for me. Thank you. Now, Assassin's Creed Unity. I remember watching the first screenshots of the game for the first time. My jaw dropped. The game looked gorgeous. It was the best looking game I had ever seen. And then the gameplay trailers dropped and I got even more excited. Co-op in Assassin's Creed? Holy moly, I'm game! Unity had it all. The graphics, the gameplay, the setting. I was sure that this would be it. I said to myself, this is the one that will dethrone Assassin's Creed 2. And then I played it, and well, it just kinda wasn't the one. I remember being so disappointed. The game was full of bugs, and it was barely playable on my then decent PC. I never got to finish the game because I wasn't motivated to do so. That was it. That was when I gave my hopes up for the series. Now let's go back to April 15th, 2019. Notre Dame Cathedral was on fire, the entire world watching in awe. Ubisoft donated 500,000 euros for the restoration of the cathedral and gave Assassin's Creed Unity for free. I said, well, what the hell, I'll give it another chance, and boy am I glad I did. The game looked as great as the first time I saw it. It sort of hadn't aged at all, and to an extent, I think it still looks great today. Yes, it shows some of its age, but it's an 8-year-old game and it can still compete with some of today's titles. The crowds were so dense and detailed, the architecture was great, the clothes, the fabrics, the textures, the facial expressions, everything looked top notch. And then it hit me that Unity's biggest enemy was its sheer ambition. Unity was way ahead of its time, in a way that hardware of that era simply couldn't accommodate it. You can actually see that with Syndicate. Yes, Syndicate was a beautiful game, but it wasn't quite close to Unity. The crowds were reduced, there weren't as many indoor areas you could visit, and generally the game didn't feel as polished. But let's not talk about the graphics anymore. Let's talk about the main face of Unity, Arno Victor Dorian.
Thrown out onto the street yet?
Oh, you would love that, wouldn't you?
Now, I'm not going to compare him with Ezio. We've talked about all that in my previous video. I'm just going to look at him as a character in general. Arno was a decent character, but I think I liked him more before he became an assassin. He's really fun in the intro. He was a very pleasant character to play overall, but that sort of goes away after the Delacere murder. Yes, that is understandable. I mean, the man lost another father figure and he got accused of killing him, but damn, he got grumpy throughout the entirety of the game. What I did like, however, is that he showed his weaknesses. He's a young man when he joins the order, and young people tend to make a lot of mistakes, and so does Arno. He defines the tenets of the creed and sort of decides to do stuff his own way without the permission of the Bureau, and let's say that things don't go according to plan. If anything, his actions make the situation worse. Another great thing about Unity is Arno's dynamic with Elise.
Next time, I plan the escape route.
Unity has the best love story in any Assassin's Creed game. Arno sort of lighted up in the scenes with her, and for a few moments became that enjoyable character we saw at the intro of the game. Their love defies the Templar and Assassin feud, sort of like Altair and Maria, but ultimately, like Altair, Arno loses his loved one too. It's sad how Arno doesn't get a happy ending, but overall I think the climax of the game was good. The story in general was great. There were a lot of twists and a lot of emotion, but the only thing I didn't like is that the chronological order between side quests, main quests, and co-op missions was a nightmare to keep up with. I actually had to follow a guide in order to complete the game in the correct order. Also, another missed opportunity was the French Order of Assassins. You rarely get to see who all these people are. Only Mirabeau and Belek get enough screen time to actually form some sort of connection. Combat was another major change. It was a bit more complex than the last games. It was a bit more hard, and that really made the game way more interesting. Yes, killing 20 guys at a time was fun and badass, but it wasn't as challenging and it made me not care about combat as much. But the one thing that stole the show by a huge margin was the parkour. Oh my god, no other Assassin's Creed title has done it like that. The parkour was excellent. The animations, the fact that you could descend just as easily as you could ascend. Yes, there were some issues with it. Some animations were out of place, but no game has accomplished that level of parkour ever since. If anything, it's gotten worse over the years, especially with Valhalla. According to Ubisoft, Mirage will be closer to Unity's parkour, and that's got me really excited for it. But let's not get our hopes up, because we're talking about Ubisoft, of course. Well, anyway, there is a separate video coming for Mirage, so stay tuned for that. Overall, I think that Unity was way ahead of its time and was ultimately killed by the lack of proper hardware at the time. If its launch was actually smooth and wasn't riddled with bugs and all sorts of issues, I think that it would have been the best game in the series right after the Ezio trilogy. Who knows, maybe it would have made the future of the series way different, cause right after Unity started a downward spiral. Now, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment on what we should talk about next. Thank you for watching.